Are you thinking about retiring or relocating in the Lowcountry, but you just can't decide between Hilton Head Island, Bluffton, or Beaufort? Each one has its own charm. Beaufort you probably know for its history. Bluffton is a vibrant, artsy community. And then you've got Hilton Head, coastal luxury at its best. But which one is going to best meet your lifestyle and make you feel at home? If that's your question, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Sue LeFavi with eXp Realty, and if you have any questions along the way, just call, text, or email me. Oh, and be sure to stay tuned to the end because I'm going to cover the housing markets, which are vastly different. Okay, let's dive right in. And comparing the three towns overall, Beaufort is definitely going to give you that slower paced lifestyle and small town feel. Its population is only about 14,000, which is half the size of Bluffton and Hilton Head. And not to mention the 2 million people that visit Hilton Head every year. Beaufort is known as the Queen of the Sea Islands. There are about 36 islands here, but only about 8 are inhabited besides Beaufort. You've got Ladies Island, Port Royal, St. Helena Island, Hunting Island, which is actually a state park with 5 miles of beaches. You've got the military base, Paris Island, and then there's 3 private islands, Fripp Island, Harbor Island, and Dataw Island. Now, if you're a history buff, Beaufort might be a good option for you. Just last week, we had the Wreaths Across America at the National Cemetery, which was very cool. Another neat landmark is Fort Fremont. And if you're the type of person that likes a private beach, this would be it. Land's End Beach has access through the fort and it's very secluded. The heartbeat of Beaufort and what I think makes it so special is the downtown waterfront park. This is a venue to festivals and concerts throughout the year, as well as you can enjoy excellent local cuisine right here on the water. And one fun thing my husband and I like to do is cruise over on our boat. They have a really nice, large community dock. You can just park for free and go enjoy some nice restaurants. If you're the type of person that likes local shopping, you'll love strolling right here downtown. A couple of my favorites are All of the Above. They have every kind of olive oil and balsamic vinegar you can imagine, and Sugar Bell, a great place for some very cute clothing. On the other hand, if you're the type of person that likes big box stores, you're not really going to find many here. We only have TJ Maxx, Hobby Lobby, and PetSmart for your fur babies. Now, about 30 minutes or so southwest across the Broad River, you come into Bluffton. Bluffton has a very cool downtown similar to Beaufort, but it's just not on the waterfront. It's called Old Town. Now, if you go about 5 or 6 blocks still in Old Town, you'll hit the May River. Right here, they have a really nice community dock, boat launch, and a park where they also hold festivals throughout the year. My favorite is the Oyster Festival. I can never eat enough to fill me up. I mentioned New Bluffton. This is where you're going to find most of your residential communities off one of the main highways called 278. This is also where your big box stores are. So if you're a Target lover, you've got it right here along with Sam's. And they also have Tanger Outlet 1 and 2. So if you're a hardcore shopper, you'll have a few hundred stores right there to choose from. Personally, that's a bit overwhelming for me, and I use Amazon Prime pretty much all the time. Now on to Hilton Head Island. It's about 30 to 40 minutes southeast of Bluffton. I'm standing right here at one of their beaches, and as you can see, it's pretty empty today because it's in winter in December. But I can assure you in the summer, this is a whole different ball game. I mentioned earlier, Hilton Head is a huge tourist destination, which brings on some pros and cons of its own, which I'll touch on in a bit. But one thing a lot of people don't realize is Hilton Head does not have a traditional downtown, but rather it's dotted with these strip shopping malls that have a variety of, restaurants, shopping, and entertainment. The most popular is Shelter Cove and Marina. It's a premier waterfront destination and hub for outdoor fun, where you can enjoy shopping, dining, and special events, fishing, charters, entertainment, and stunning views of the Broad Creek. And the other shopping center I think that's just as popular is Coligny Plaza. With over 60 shops and restaurants, it's really a community gathering area, just steps away from the beach, which is fully equipped with changing areas and restrooms. Something else interesting about Hilton Head that you'll notice as you're driving through is, where do all the residents live? And you'll be looking for businesses and you can't find any signs. That's because they have very strict rules and regulations about signs that can only be so far from the ground. They all have to be made of wood, I think. Neon signs are completely prohibited. And that's because they want to preserve as much natural foliage as possible. And they do a very good job with that. And you'll find that all these residential communities are going to be set way back from the road behind all the trees in gated communities. Also, a typical sign you'd be looking for a business, you probably won't even recognize and drive right by it. I do it all the time. U-turns is the name of the game. So, a commercial part of the island really doesn't look commercial at all, which is kind of nice. Now, let me touch on the food. They have some of the best fine dining on the island. My husband and I's two favorites are Italian, Nunzio's, and Michael Anthony's. Now, Michael Anthony's has some incredible wine pairing cooking classes that we enjoy throughout the year. Now, let me mention a little more about lifestyle. And compared to Beaufort and Bluffton, Hilton Head is definitely going to be more like resort style. You're going to pretty much feel like you're on vacation all year long. Outdoors is the name of the game. They have over 60 miles of bike trails and 9 public beach access points. Not to mention, there's several in some of the private gated communities as well. I mentioned earlier, there are pros and cons of living in a resort location. One of the cons is the traffic. I know what you're thinking. Compared to a big city you might be living in, it's not a big deal. But certain times of the year, it will drive me nuts. Another thing you want to be aware of is there's only one bridge on and off the island, and it's only 4 lanes. Today, the traffic's not bad because it's in the winter, but in the summer, this bridge is a whole different story. Often backed up on both sides, and typically I'll get an alert on my phone that there's an accident, which means 2 lanes are completely blocked. So you need to really plan in advance if you need to be somewhere on time. But if you're retired, you just work around those busy rush hours and you'll be fine. Now, the city's been talking for, 5 or 8 years, as long as I can remember, about an expansion plan for the bridge or a second bridge. But nothing's yet been decided, let alone started. And in my opinion, we need a second bridge there because if something happens to that one 4-lane bridge, there's nobody getting on or off the island. But nobody asked my opinion. Now, if you're a serious golfer, both Bluffton and Hilton Head are great options. Hilton Head has over 30 courses and Bluffton 23, which is a mix of both private and public courses. On the other hand, Beaufort only has a handful, has the private fly-in golf community called Secessions, and then just a few public courses. But I'm not a golfer, but when I look at the courses in Beaufort compared to Bluffton or Hilton Head, there's no comparison. They don't look anywhere near manicured, and they don't have the fancy names like Pete Dye or Jack Nicklaus. Now, I think one of the most appealing things about Bluffton is the location. You're only about 30 to 40 minutes from Hilton Head Island, Beaufort, and Savannah, Georgia. And if you like to travel a lot, that's an easy 30-minute ride to the Savannah airport. Oh, and I have people ask me, you might be one of them, where's the closest Costco? I have never been to a Costco. People can't believe that, but I've never been to one, but there's one right next to the Savannah airport. Okay, let me touch on the Beaufort vibe. As I mentioned, it's made up of sea islands, so you have water everywhere. If you like boating, fishing, crabbing, shrimping, or kayaking, this is probably the place for you. And no matter where you live, you are only going to be about 5 to 10 minutes from one of the many boat launches. Now, Bluffton is on the May River, but they only have one community dock and boat launch. So in the summer, you can imagine it gets pretty busy. Now, I touched on Hilton Head's traffic, primarily because of that one bridge on and off the island. But to get to Hilton Head, you have to go right through Bluffton on Highway 278. So if you live in Bluffton, you're going to get that whole freeway of traffic that's on its way to Hilton Head as well. So definitely can be very busy in the spring and summer months. Now, Beaufort, whole different traffic vibe. The only time you're going to have a traffic jam is when the downtown swing bridge opens for a sailboat to go through or there's an accident. I mentioned earlier about all the beaches that Hilton Head has to offer, both public and private. But let me back up a little bit and talk about Beaufort. I said Hunting Island State Park, and that is a great option. If you want a more rural, rustic beach, this is it. As you drive in, you meander through what looks like a forest for about 2 miles. And then all of a sudden, there you are, the beach, which looks like you're at Gilligan's Island. But a very cool place. You can bring your dogs. It's just a fun day out. In Bluffton, there's no beach there, so you're going to have to drive the closest Hilton Head, which should be about at least a 30 to 40 minute ride to the closest public beach. Now, another lifestyle factor that might be important to you is the age of the population. I can tell you, Hilton Head is going to be the oldest. I would say the vibe is about 65 and up. Beaufort is just behind them. I would say 60. But Bluffton is definitely your younger population. And probably 3/4 of the clients under 40 I've worked with have all bought in Bluffton, except 2 bought second home condos on Hilton Head, and I have one set of clients right now looking in Beaufort that are in their late 30s. But generally speaking, the younger population is more attracted to Bluffton. Finally, let me touch on the real estate market. Unlike Bluffton and Hilton Head, Beaufort has very few gated communities. You've got homes that range from $1 million plus historic properties near downtown to Airbnb cottages, and then you go outside of Beaufort onto like where I live, Ladies Island, and you can find reasonably priced homes. Now, I saw statistics that the average sale price of a home in Beaufort was $450,000. Honestly, I think it's more like $500,000 to get a decent home in a nice community, but still not bad. Now, what you're not going to find much of in Beaufort is new construction. Now, I can think of 2 or 3 new construction communities, and there, yes, you can find a home in the mid 400 range. But those neighborhoods are what I call cookie cutter. The builders come in, clear out all the trees, and what makes Beaufort so special are those majestic oaks. But the builders don't care. They take them down so they can put more homes on those properties. Bluffton is going to be the fastest growing of the 3 towns. And you will find most of the residential communities in New Bluffton right off the highway I mentioned, 278 versus Old Town. And you're going to find everything from new construction, a lot of cookie cutter neighborhoods, to very luxurious golfing communities like Palmetto Bluff, Berkeley Hall, and Belfair. In these communities, the starting initiation fee just to get in the community is about $90,000. But I can assure you, their amenities are world class. I often get people asking me, well, what about residential communities around Old Town? Because you go to Old Town, you see people tootling around on golf carts with their dogs and just having a good old time. But the answer is there's only about 2 nice residential communities right there. Stock Farm and Tabby Place. Both are very nice, reflect the Lowcountry architecture, but the homes in here are going to start at about $1 million. There's one other community, Bluffton Park, but those are going to be more $350 to $450, vinyl siding, kind of cookie cutter neighborhood, but it's a good option. if that's what you're looking for. And when I was looking at the average home sale price in Bluffton, the numbers came in at $525. But honestly, you're going to get a cookie cutter new construction home for that. Housing is a bit more expensive in Bluffton than you'll find in Beaufort. Now on to Hilton Head housing. You're going to find it's very similar to Bluffton, but even more so, almost all your residential communities are going to be within gated neighborhoods. Some of the most popular, you've got Sea Pines all the way at the southern tip of the island with its iconic lighthouse. You've got Hilton Head Plantation all the way at the north end, and in between, Port Royal Plantation, which is another very popular community. And again, similar to Bluffton, you'll find that many of these communities are very Gulf-centric, but several of them will also offer private beach access, which is very nice if you're a beach lover, so you don't have to fight the crowds at the public beaches. Hilton Head is going to be your most expensive real estate. Average price home, they say, is $850,000, but honestly, I don't think you can find anything under $1 million unless it needs a complete remodel job. I recently had a client. She was a nurse looking for a single family home, nothing big, $850,000 cash. We looked for 6 months. She finally ended up buying. Now, it was a very nice new construction townhouse, but it just wasn't the single family home she wanted. But being close to her work proximity was the most important thing to her. So that's what she based her decision on. So during COVID, the Hilton Head market went crazy. Everybody wanted to buy a house down there. Prices went up over 40% that year alone. And they've been steady ever since. So I would say, summing up the housing market, Beaufort, very steady growth. Bluffton, fastest growing and expansion. Hilton Head, low inventory, high demand, thus keeping prices pretty darn high. So after watching this video, if you still have no idea which town best meets your lifestyle, here's an idea. This year I had clients in this same boat. They came over, they spent 5 nights on Hilton Head, 5 nights in Bluffton, and 5 nights in Beaufort. They just would go to the town or the shopping centers, the beaches, and just talk to the locals and get the vibe of the town. And it ended up they liked one community in Hilton Head and one particular community in Bluffton, pretty much because of the amenities they had to offer that they felt best fit them. So their plan is put their house on the market in the spring, get in their RV, drive over here and park it until they find their dream home in 2025. So just something to consider. If you want to know more, just click on these comparison videos. My husband and I have been living the dream here in the Lowcountry for several years now, and I would love to help you do the same.